You don't feel excited when someone says, "Let's go out tonight." You feel the shift before you even answer. This isn't about personality. It's about what your mind is optimizing for without telling you. You see the message light up on your phone while you're already sitting down. The room is quiet in a way that feels complete, not empty. Your first reaction isn't refusal, it's calculation. How much energy will this interrupt? Something in you already prefers the version of the evening that requires nothing to change. But another part knows you're expected to step out of it without hesitation. That small gap is where the tension lives. In the next few minutes, you'll see why that reaction isn't random. It follows a pattern most people never notice about themselves, and you might recognize more of it than you expect. We start with something simple. Your phone screen suddenly lights up. A text appears. "Want to go out tonight?" You stare at it longer than necessary. The room is dead quiet. Your evening already had a perfect shape, doing absolutely nothing. The exhaustion hits before you've even answered. Sometimes it starts before you've even finished reading the message. Because that invitation is never just one decision. Your brain instantly calculates the cost. Getting ready, commuting, making small talk, handling uncertainties, and the hours it will take to recover later. You were doing completely fine until this became a plan. It's not the event itself, it's the transition. You don't hate people, you just hate what leaving the house costs. You don't lose energy out there, you lose it the moment you prepare to stop being yourself. But people assume you're just distant, and you slowly fade from their guest lists. That reaction usually has a deeper history than anyone realizes. Most people just see a house, but you experience a different state entirely. You close the door. The noise disappears. Nobody needs anything from you. Nobody is watching. Repeated experiences teach the brain where emotional regulation feels easiest. For some people, that place becomes home. Silence isn't empty. It's functional. You aren't attached to the physical building. You're attached to what happens inside it. It's the moment you think, "I can finally hear my own thoughts." Home stopped being a location and became a psychological sanctuary. Because of that, other environments start feeling unusually demanding. And for many, that relationship started surprisingly early, earlier than they can even remember. Some people practiced self-sufficiency long before adulthood. School ends. You come home. No plans. No supervision. The entire afternoon belongs completely to you. There is no audience here, and no instructions. You learn to structure time yourself. You solve boredom yourself. You regulate emotions yourself. The more often you navigate life alone, the less necessary company feels. It's why you always tell yourself, "I'll figure it out." Long periods of self-management turn solitude into a default setting. Because of that, dependence begins to feel unfamiliar and sometimes deeply uncomfortable. And that self-sufficiency, over time, often grows into something else entirely. Outside, variables multiply. Inside, most of them disappear. You control the light, the temperature, the noise, the timing of everything. Predictability reduces mental effort. The brain naturally prefers environments requiring fewer adjustments. Control feels peaceful until it becomes necessary. It's when you ask yourself, why make this harder than it needs to be? The problem isn't uncertainty. It's how little of it you still practice. Because of that, your tolerance for inconvenience slowly shrinks. And that same pattern begins to appear in your social situations too. Most social exhaustion comes from moments nobody remembers. You pass a neighbor. A cashier asks how you're doing. Someone tells a story, and you have to react. The tiring part isn't talking, it's managing, because every minor interaction requires tiny, continuous adjustments. Facial expressions, tone, timing, and attention. It's why you ask yourself, why does this feel like work? You aren't avoiding people, you're avoiding maintenance. But the cost is high. By the end of the day, your social battery is completely gone before anything meaningful even happened. And the more sensitive you are to performance, the more valuable privacy becomes. Not everyone wants to be seen. Some people just want room. No posts, no updates. No need to document dinner, travel, or daily life. Attention is not always rewarding. Privacy protects your autonomy. The fewer eyes on you, the fewer expectations follow. It's the moment you realize, if it's meaningful, I don't need witnesses. Being left alone can feel far more valuable than being admired. But the cost is that others often misread your distance as disinterest, which leads to a misunderstanding most people never question. People call it avoidance. Sometimes it's optimization. Groceries arrive at the door. Bills are paid. Work is done. Entertainment is waiting. Everything in your life functions perfectly. You aren't trapped. You're just effective. Because you became highly competent and you reduced unnecessary friction. You stay home because you can, not because you can't cope with the outside world. But the cost is that the world out there starts looking increasingly optional. It's when you ask yourself, why go out if everything I need is already here? The real question is whether efficiency and fulfillment are the same thing. And this is where the story becomes uncomfortable. The system that protects your peace can also limit your world. You consider traveling, dating, joining friends, or learning something completely new. But instantly, your brain calculates the effort. Because the brain begins filtering every decision through a single lens, comfort preservation, to the point where even good things begin to feel inconvenient. Good opportunities start feeling expensive, not because they're bad, but because they're disruptive. It's when you mutter that familiar phrase, maybe another time. A highly optimized life can quietly reduce your tolerance for life itself. Comfort becomes dangerous when it decides before you do. Which brings us to the real distinction. There is a difference between protecting peace and protecting routine. They look identical from the outside. Imagine your ideal week. Then imagine that exact same week repeated for years. Humans need both safety and growth. Too much of either creates imbalance. A quiet life is healthy. An unquestioned life is different. Without noticing, life becomes smaller than your potential. It's the moment you must ask yourself, have I chosen this or just repeated it? Now the question isn't whether you like staying home. It's whether you understand why. What looks like avoiding the outside world is often something more precise. A life designed so efficiently that interruption starts to feel unnecessary, even when it matters. You are not someone who just stays home. You are someone who has learned to function with very little external input. Some people don't resist life. They reduce how much of it they need. Notice what happens to you before you agree to plans. Not your final decision, but your first internal reaction. Is it interest or calculation of cost? If this way of thinking feels familiar, there's more to explore here. No pressure to stay, only if it feels relevant. Not every quiet life is small, but some become quiet for reasons they never checked.